Morning, esteemed colleagues, and morning participants. Welcome to the Engage Scholarship Tourism Project. So our project is based on tourism entrepreneurship and starting tourism businesses and the beauty of South Africa overall. I'm going to start with sharing this video. Welcome to South Africa, just to highlight all the breathtaking scenery we have in South Africa and all the opportunities that we have available for tourism in South Africa. So our colleagues are going to make various presentations on they're going to make various presentations on tourism businesses, what we can do in terms of starting these businesses, and especially people that are based in the coastal areas, based in the inland areas. There's quite a lot of opportunities for us and what we can actually do in the tourism industry. So the first presentation is going to be from by Dr. Conradi and Dr. Shabalala, and they're going to talk about tourism entrepreneurs etiquette and how to run a tourism business.
I'm Dr. Shabalala, a lecturer for cultural tourism. It is my honor today to be speaking to you. So today we'll be talking about a few things under the tourism entrepreneurship architect. Okay, the presentation content, we'll be looking, firstly, we'll go through the introduction, we'll look at what is tourism. Also, we'll be covering the tourism entrepreneur, also looking at the opportunities for entrepreneurs in the tourism sector, also looking the definition of the architect, and also covering service excellence, because we are in the service industry or service sector. Also, last, we'll be looking at the ethics, then we conclude our presentation. Thank you very much. As I've just indicated, we are from the tourism unit. Now we'll be looking at the tourism industry, which is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. However, we are experiencing some challenges, isn't it? I'm sure first one of the challenges was COVID, the pandemic, which is one of the buzzword that we've been happening here in the world. Obviously, we are aware tourism was affected by the COVID, which put the whole world in its knees, which also the COVID affected employment, which now we are also struggling. I'm sure we are also following the stats around employment. Also now we are also the increasing challenge in South Africa to find and also retain this employment, because if you find this employment, are you able to retain it? You see? All right, where were we? Oh, we were talking about the challenges in South Africa of finding or retaining the job, because at times you will find a job, but will be able to retain it. Sometimes becomes a challenge. That's why now it becomes important to have tourism entrepreneurs. Why? Because tourism entrepreneurs, they are trying to bridge the gap and assist in this challenge that we just alluded to. Then we are looking, what is tourism? When we talk about tourism, we're talking about activities of persons traveling to and staying in places outside their usual environment for more than 1 day, but not more than 1 consecutive year for leisure, business, or other purposes. This is a definition that is presented to us by Chadwick, which was presented in 1994. Also within the tourism, we have this thing called hospitality management, because we need to manage what is happening here within our space. What does this consist? Primarily, it consists of businesses that provide accommodation, food, beverage, and some combination of these activities, because we are aware that our people, as they are traveling up and down, whether for leisure, business, or other purposes, they need a place to stay, they need a place to eat, isn't it? Therefore, it's very important in this sector that we manage that one. Also, we have this events management. Remember, we said business and other purposes. Therefore, some people, they're going for events, conferences, like now we are meeting here. At least now we're meeting online. If it was not online, definitely some of you could have traveled, maybe to UNISA. Maybe we have a physical venue, which becomes meetings, conferences, exhibition, festival, concert, and performances, which is part of the MICE industry, which is part of the tourism sector. Now we are talking to the the tourism entrepreneur, which I believe it covers most of you here, because I believe we are all business people, we are business minded. Some of you, they just started their businesses, some they've been in the game for some time. That's why it's very important for our business to be innovative, and also we must also have the knowledge about around our business, and also have that leadership skill, and also have a vision to say, where am I going with my business, what I'm looking for with my business, who is my target market, all of these things, so that we fine tune that skill. When we look at the opportunities that are available for entrepreneurs in tourism, one, we are looking at airlines. We have businesses in airlines. We have businesses in under the bus companies, the cruise ship, which all of these that I've just mentioned, they fall under the transport, which is one of our industries here. We have tourism education, which involves us, tourism research, which is involve us as Unisens. Now we are here presenting that part of education and research to you as our audience today. We also have travel, communication, recreation, and leisure, which is one of the big opportunities that is available. Where attractions, I'm sure some of you, maybe they are in attendance, we are tour operators, we are in leisure businesses where you put together packages for people. After we've worked and exhausted, we need to go and get some bread, isn't it? That's where you come in. Also, the tourist offices and information centers. Some people don't want to put together those packages. Then those offices are there to assist. Convention and also visitors bureaus, which I've also touched on earlier when it comes to MICE, meeting planners and travel publications. So we have a lot that is going on in the tourism sector, where a person can be able to venture in and be able to run a business or start a business, which we're not going to touch everything in detail due to time. As we are running these businesses in the tourism sector, we are expected to have this thing, good architect. What is this? What are we talking about? If you check this slide, we are having buzzwords there. We've got code, friendly, manners, genuine behavior, culture, good form, and all of those things, which these are the things that we are expected to display as we are rendering this service to our customers. Also, you see there's a word there, polite, effort, standards, so that whatever you do, you must be polite to your customers. There's a standard that you need to meet. Manners, there are people, when you go to their business, you can see who say these people are not professional, and such things can chase your client away, even finishing school. I know some people, they don't take education as so important. This is what, as you can see here, we even have tourism education and research. It's good to educate ourselves about our product or our service that we are rendering, so that we are able to have this high standard and deliver this excellent service and have class, When we look Oxford define architect for us. He said it is the customary code of polite behavior in society among us of a particular profession or group. You see here, it says it's a polite behavior. And this polite behavior, you must not only give it to your customers. A business is not only built by customers. We have a team that is there working so that customer, when it comes, it gets this outstanding service, isn't it? So we must use that customary code to everyone, from the gate, from the security guard up until to the CEO of the company, isn't it? So yeah, when we are looking this attitude and good manners, we are saying these are the rules of accepted behavior of a certain society and culture. Because here we are in the tourism industry, or tourism sector, we have certain rules and certain way of doing things, certain way of behavior that we are expecting. So we expect everybody who's part of the value chain to be able to portray that to our customers, because that's what's going to make us unique, isn't it? That's why we say actions that makes you appear well educated and polite. And also, that's where it touches your manners, because if you don't have this good attitude, you're not going to have good manners. That's where the manners comes in, where you become polite, well-bred at behavior. And this is how you're going to make people feel. Remember, we are in a service industry. End of the day, the important thing, how do you make your customer or your tourist feel once they leave your establishment, or after you've rendered whatever service that they came and seek for from your establishment? Politeness and the way you behave, the manners, they will go a long way. That's why now we're saying good manners can mean the difference between success and failure in many aspects of life. That's why having good manners is essential to any civilization. That's why If you don't have good manners, it may cost you your business, because nobody will want to come to a business where they're not being treated with kindness, isn't it? Also, we are saying, what are these basic rules when it comes for family members? We are saying respect each other's personal space, and also respect each other's belongings. Don't interrupt when someone else is talking. Now we are having a client, because these are the rules and manners that we apply in family members. These are the rules that we carry from home to the workspace, isn't it? Because now somebody is talking, you'll give the person a chance to speak. If, let's say, now the person is still talking, you came in, you are, oh, sorry, please proceed. If maybe it's possible, maybe the person was already done. He said, no, it's fine, I was done. You can speak. So you don't jump in while people are speaking, because you must give them that chance and that respect. Also, be on time for dinner. Even at work, be on time. If you say the game drive is starting at 8, the game drive must start at 8. Not at 8, we are still starting an engine, isn't it? We say use a polite language such as please and thank you. We must thank our customers. You must use the word please. That's why I always been telling my students, familiarize yourself with the word please, thank you, may I. Don't instruct, isn't it? We also say don't text or talk on your phone during a family meal. This is a rule that we have at home, which is the same thing. We are having your guest there. A guest is standing, we are busy with your phone. Now a guest is talking to you, don't even hear what they are saying, because now you are busy consuming with your phone. Even in a meeting, it's a meet and greet. You are there, be present. Don't be busy on your phone. Okay, chew with your mouth closed. This is a rule that we have at home in the table, isn't it? Yeah, you are in a business meeting or with your client. Try to behave in that manner, Also, we're saying don't yell or call each other's name. We have a way of talking to each other as colleagues, the way of introducing each other as colleagues. We differentiate to say, now we are in an office space, now we are in a meeting, now, every area. It depends, how to address each other in a way that shows respect. Also, we're saying, don't pick up after yourself so someone else don't have to do it. We say clean as you go. That's the thing that we teach, so that even when we are at a workplace, even if now you are a tourist yourself, we have this thing called responsible tourism, which also involve you as a tourist, so that as you eat, you pick up, you throw in the bin, you don't litter. Some places we have animals that if they find the paper, they chew that paper, they die. So we now you become part of the process and the value chain, assisting the tourism sector to grow, and in a sustainable manner, in a responsible manner as well. Also, we say listen to mom and dad and do what they say. Please always listen to the instructor, listen to the person who's in charge on that time, because it's very important that person, it's important why that person is there. So it's very important that we listen to them, so that we all enjoy the trip, or we all enjoy our stay. Because if you go to restaurant or even hotels, they have rules. Some they even have a board saying, please be wait to be seated. That is there. Please listen to that, because now you don't want to go and sit in, nobody attends you in 30 minutes, now you are angry. They said, no, we didn't see you coming in. That's why there's a reason why we have that communication by the door. Now we are looking the social. We're saying always be on time for dates and get together. So if you check the social and also the home one, they also assist us on how we are going to conduct ourselves when we are at a working space. Okay. They said now, if we look the social one, the one I want to touch on based on time, I'm not going to go through of them. I'm going to go through on the last one. Said never post anything on any forum that you don't want the world to see. Now we are in this world where social media is a buzz. You have your Facebook, you have your Twitter, you have your Instagram, you have anything that you post. You must be willing for the world to see. If it's something that you don't want everybody to see, it's only for you and your friends, try not to do it, because some of these things, they surface, and when they surface, they may cost you a business. I'm sure we've seen with some of our public figures, I'm not going to use names, where people have to pull out in big events because of maybe videos that are surfacing that they've posted long time ago. Some we understand, maybe they were still young and naive and all of that, but now we are trying to train ourselves as business people, as students, to say, whatever you post something, please make sure it's something that you wouldn't mind for the world to see. Also, the last one that I will touch here is give and receive compliments graciously. You know, when people they compliment you, please receive that. There are those people when you compliment, you feel like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said it. You know, please be that person who receive compliments gracious and also give to others. You know, when a person done well, please say so. When a service provider done well, oh, now we call them partners. Okay, not business partners. We call them partners. You have someone who's working with you, they've done well. Commend them. Don't only speak when something didn't go right. Okay. So I tried to relate the home one and the social etiquette into a professional space. If you check what I've said there and what is appearing on this slide is more or less the same. But what I would like to touch on this a slide is 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's a bullet number 5. Shake hand when appropriate. You know, we are from different cultures, different backgrounds, and all of that. Educate yourself about the environment in the space that you're going to be at, because there are places where you shake a hand. Maybe there's people who don't like it. That's why we say when it's appropriate. Read the environment. That's why I've also alluded to say praise others for a job well done. And also be friendly to customers, clients, customers, guests. Offer them a comfortable seat to have to wait. You know, sometimes a customer comes, maybe they are supposed to pay for the service, or they have to confirm a booking or something. Then it becomes a glitch, or maybe they want to swipe a card. Now the card doesn't want to swipe, maybe because of network. Now they have to wait or something. Please take care of them. Don't just put them aside. Now they feel as if now they are lost or something. You know, still take care of them. Even if, let's say, the deal doesn't go through, tomorrow these people can come back. You know, because there's not a tendency of only paying attention to those who everything is going right. Also, we're saying use your door voice and avoid yelling. You know, sometimes whenever we are in the office space, you make sure that what's happening at the back, the clients don't see at the front. You know, we're saying also observe proper etiquette with regard to a personal space. When socializing with your co-workers, do not do anything you do not want mentioned at the office later, which also applies with the social media. So whenever you're socializing, going out with colleagues for a drinks or for a social event, make sure that you don't do anything or say anything that you don't want to come back. Now you say whatever happens in Vegas, stay in Vegas. No, let's be ethical, well-mannered in every time. Also, this one, because of time, I'll just jump this one because I've already covered on the previous one. Even the phone one, I've already spoke to it on the previous one. And the modern, I've already spoken to this one. Now, I'm going to be touching the last 2 parts of the presentation. We are looking at the service excellence. Let's say why it's important for us to be well-mannered, to be polite, and all of that we just spoke about. As we indicated, we are in a service industry. We need to offer a service, an excellent service. Therefore, it's important for us to exhibit those qualities that we just spoke about. Then the question is, why it's so important for us to exhibit these qualities? The answer is simple. Because we are existing in a service and also in a service sector, and these qualities will enhance our ability to render an excellent service to our market and also to our tourists. Here in the tourism aspect, we'll say in the tourism sector through the whole value chain. In my world, I'll normally say even to my students, do not offer an excellent service. Offer an outstanding service and leave the customer wowed. Then let's look the alphabet of service. We have the S. We are saying smile for everyone. Don't smile only for certain people. Like I said, you shower from the security gate, the cleaner, to the CEO. Also, excellence in everything we do. We don't make mistakes. Zero tolerance, isn't it? Yeah, in tourism, we do everything in an excellent manner. Also, the R, we are saying reach out to every guest with hospitality. Remember, we spoke about hospitality on the first slide? Every person must feel warm, must feel welcome. Also, we are saying V, view every guest as a special or guest of honor. Don't treat other guests as if they're important to the other. Here, we are not in the zoo to say other animals are better than animals. Here, everybody is the same. They get the service that they deserve. Also, we invite guests to return. Once you're done with your business, don't say bye. You tell them, please, looking forward to see you again. We even ask them, when are you coming back? Must we do your booking? Must we send you an email? Sometimes you have those frequent guests, you invite them back. See, creating a warm atmosphere, which this one relates to R. The reaching out with reaching out every guest with hospitality. You need to have warmth. Nobody wants to go where it's cold, isn't it? I want to feel at home when I'm at your establishment. When you're taking me to a tour, I want to feel like now I'm traveling with my brother or someone, eye contact that shows you care. Don't look a client with a eye that now they even think maybe there's something wrong. You must look them with the eye that shows that we care. Eye contact at all times, isn't it? Then, once we are able to render this service the way we've just presented, we are applying it in the tourism sector, which I'm not going to go through because we've already touched on the previous slides. These are the industries that are forming the tourism sector, the 8 of them, which we alluded on earlier. And these are the industries that offer the job opportunities that we are talking about as entrepreneurs. So every industry offers opportunities for every person, every entrepreneur who wants to be part of the tourism business. So please, you can take a picture of the slide, then you can go on your time and read under each, Google under each, because based on your time, we cannot be able to go through each of these industries. Thank you very much. Ethics, last one. Whatever we do, what we spoke about today, we must be ethical at all times. When you bill a client 100 Rand, it must be 100 Rand. When you made a mistake, you apologize. You correct it if it's an honest mistake. You don't come now, you justify a mistake if it's a mistake. That's why we are saying ethics, which is according to the Oxford, is a moral principle that governs a person's behavior or conduct of any activity, which these are principles that guide our behavior towards making the right choices and take responsibility for our choices. This is where we talk about integrity, honesty, principle, choices, fairness, have the conscience as well. Because when you don't have ethics, a lot of things can go down. And a lot of things can cost you a business, because when people can find that this person cannot be trusted, which means we are not honest, these people don't have morals. That's why even you check in the tourism industry, in the sector, you'll find that they will have rules in hotel to say clients are not allowed to date staff. They have reasons for that. So there are a lot of rules, a lot of choices that we need to make, but those choices, they've got some responsibilities for us to take. So let's make sure that we make this tourism sector a happy place to live at and a happy place to work at. Thank you very much. This is where my presentation comes to an end. I really appreciate your time for borrowing me your ear. Looking forward to host you at UNISA someday. We have a lot of programs around entrepreneurship and all of that. Thank you very much. I wish you a lovely day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lombuso. You have highlighted very important things that we tend to overlook. Mannerism is very important, and service delivery is very important in tourism businesses, and in ensuring that our businesses are successful and our businesses are businesses that people will always want to return to and also recommend others to visit. There's a question for you on the chat box, and they're asking, in order to have a tourism company, where exactly do we need to register our company, and what is required legally before we can start the business? Would you like to answer that?
Yes, ma'am, I would like to answer that. Thank you very much for the question. I'm not an expert when it comes to registering business and other stuff, but definitely we have other departments who can be able to assist us in that aspect, even other government entities that we are part of as a part of community engagement. I'll request our participant maybe to drop us an email, then I can be able to do more research around it within the department. Then we can be able to recommend the contacts places where they can be able to get help in that aspect. Definitely, we should be able to assist in that aspect to do a referral.
Thank you for that. We are also going to have a slot that speaks to tourism entrepreneurship later in the day, and that will also be addressed. But businesses are generally registered at CPRO at the DTI. I think the presenter who will speak on tourism entrepreneurship will provide more details into that. Okay. The next presenter is Dr. Curious. Dr. Curious, are you ready?
Right. So good morning, everybody across the country. It's really great to be addressing you today on a topic that is very close to my heart, sustainable tourism made real. And I am so happy that so many of you can join us from places across South Africa. And I do hope that today's sessions will be so beneficial. And I think the best thing about today is that it's like fitting together pieces of a puzzle, that you will find that as you have the different presentations, there's going to be a little bit of overlap, which is also good. But at the end of the day, you're going to have such a holistic view of tourism and the key subjects. So I'm going to jump straight into what my focus is today, and that is on sustainable tourism. And I just want to put out a disclaimer from the very beginning, and that is that this is literally snapshots. Sustainable tourism is a huge topic, and we could have a course for a whole year and we would still not get through all the material. So I want you to just bear with me as I just throw out the absolute basics. And I would encourage you that if you see something that you feel that in your business you need to go and read up on, and you think, oh, I can apply that, please understand that you'll then need to go and do research on your own about the topic that has interested you, or the aspect of sustainability that you think, okay, I need to work on that. I've got this in place, but that point there, I need to go and learn about that. And for those of you who are thinking about businesses, what a great way to start out and think about sustainability from the very beginning. I often think if I were to build a house today, how differently I would do that house. I would make sure that I have got solar, that I am off the grid, that I have water tanks where pipes are running, the rainwater is automatically running into the water tanks, and that from there I can water my garden and so forth. And in the very same way as if I were to be able to go and build a house now, how differently I would do it to 10, 20 years ago. In the same way, if you're starting your business, how differently you will do that if you understand sustainability from the very beginning, and that these foundational principles can be built into your business. So for whether you're in it, whether you're starting it, I hope that today you'll find something for you. So we're going to start with just understanding sustainability. And a lot of you will know some of these things already. I know that. Understanding the impact of tourism, and then why is sustainable tourism important? And then we're going to go into the aspects where we can apply sustainability, and that is in terms of the environment, in terms of social, the people, the communities, in terms of the economy, and then in terms of the tourist. So I'm going to, sorry, that was the slide that I meant to be on, just to show you where we are going to be going with this presentation. So those are the main points that we will be looking at today. Right, so let's start then with understanding sustainability. And I'm sure many of you know this. We talk about the triple bottom line of sustainability. That's the picture on the right. Another way of representing this concept is the three pillars of sustainability. And the idea is that where these overlap, your economy, your social, and your environmental aspects, that where we overlap, we achieve sustainability. So it's very important when we talk about sustainability to look at all three, and not just to say, well, I'm going to make sure that I'm economically sustainable, that I can pay my staff at the end of the month, and that I'm making good money out of this and a good profit. That's not sustainability, because you haven't then considered the social and the environmental aspects. So it's how can I achieve that economic success while also feeding into the social environment and benefiting people and benefiting planet. So what I want to do now is I want to play a video. We're going to see if it works. If it does not work, I have placed the link for you in the chat. You'll see I placed, I hope it has been published. There are 2 links there I have 2 videos, one in the beginning and one at the end. So let's see if it plays, but if it doesn't play, we're going to stop that straight away and carry on with the presentation. What I do want you to do, whether it works now or whether you will do it after the session, as you watch this video is all about how not to do it. So let's start I wanted to start the presentation by saying, why is sustainability important to tourism? And this video shows you exactly why. This is what happens when tourism has gone wrong, when tourism has become toxic and has unwelcome impacts. And when you look at that video, please note, I've given you a little table there. I want you to jot down on a piece of paper in front of you, for the environment, what are the positive impacts of tourism? What does tourism do that's good for the environment? But what can tourism do that harms the environment? What can tourism do that's good for people? What can it do that's bad for people? What is good about tourism for the economy, but what are the negative effects of tourism for the economy? So I want you to think about that as you watch the video. So let's have a go. Okay, but what the video shows is the negative effects of tourism on the environment, on people, and then on the economy. And what we're going to do is we'll be unpacking a few of those as we proceed with the presentation. So why then is sustainable tourism important? And I always ask 2 questions here. I say that to me as an individual, to you as individuals out there. It's important to behave sustainably in our own lives, in what we do in our homes. We can make a difference through our actions, and we'll talk about some of those things as we go through the presentation. Then, of course, to a business, it makes good business sense to be sustainable, and we'll be looking at some examples later. Well, why? Why does it make good business sense? It saves money. It draws the right kind of tourist, because the new sensitive tourist seeks out sustainable tourism on enterprises. So whether you're at the beginning of a business thinking about it, or whether you're in a business, make plans to implement sustainability and to grow your sustainable actions over the years. We can't do everything at the same time, but we can certainly work towards it incrementally so that year by year we grow. So we're going to unpack a little bit of these things about how it makes good business sense and what the new tourist is seeking. So now we're going to go into those 4 elements that I said we would talk about: environment, social, economy, and the tourist. Let's start with natural, with the environment. And when we talk about the environment, here I'm alluding to the natural and the human-made environment. So what can we do to run our businesses so that we are sustainable in terms of the environment? We can have sensitive buildings that are using local materials that haven't had to be transported from a far distance, and materials that blend into the natural environment. I'm sure you've all seen examples of those hotels or accommodation that are an absolute eyesore, that stand out. And maybe that was the old idea, but the new idea is rather blend into your environment. You can see one of the pictures on this slide. The accommodation is built in natural materials. It blends into the environment. It must make use of the local ideas from the local culture. Don't put a Japanese chalet into the African bush, for example. There should be responsible eco-design and fittings that reduce energy consumption. So here's your saving coming in. You're looking after the planet and you're saving. Solar panels, yes, I know the initial expense and investment is huge, but it pays off over the years. Local material, local design, harvesting rainwater, maximizing natural lighting. Again, going back to that picture, there we are rather using natural light in the day than the need for electric light. Then rehabilitation of environments. There's wonderful examples of this. And as game farms are growing across South Africa, we are seeing environments that were for farming being rehabilitated so that they provide comprehensive ecosystems for animals. And as these environments are being rehabilitated, for example, Pinda, which is a very high-end game reserve, was a pineapple farm. As they've rehabilitated the environment, the animals have come back. Some have needed to be reintroduced, but others come back because we've given them back their environment. And of course, we don't need to water the bushveld. If we bring back natural plants, they are sustainable. We don't need to have high water consumption managing beautiful green lawns, which are not actually indigenous and are not sustainable. Purchasing locally grown food, for example, or growing your own food, using seasonal and organic food, and explain to the tourist why they are not going to get mangoes in winter and why they are not going to get nachos and citrus in summer, because you are focusing on what is seasonal, because that is sustainable. And as far as possible, to support local enterprises that are growing this food, and tell the tourist that you are doing this. Take the tourist to your herb garden. Take the tourist to your vegetable garden. So those are all the kind of things that you can do to be sustainable. Let's move on then. Planting indigenous and water-wise plants. Let's stop with the exotic plants that use so much water, and let us rather plant what is suitable to the South African environment. I'm sure you are all familiar with the 3 R's, and there are so many ways to implement that. How do you manage your waste, for example? Are you recycling? Are you composting your vegetable cuttings? Some places have even started worm farming, which if you're interested, go and have a read about it. And this is also a way of producing very nutrient-rich material to grow things. What about energy efficiency? What kind of light bulbs are you using? Let's talk about green transportation. There's a picture there of a cyclist. What kind of vehicles are you using in your business? What is their petrol consumption? What is the noise level of your vehicles, of your buses? How are you encouraging tourists to walk, to cycle, when they get to your environment, to act in a sustainable manner? And then to limit the impact on the natural environment. There's a picture there of the Boulders penguin colony in the Cape. And as you can see, the people are on boardwalks so that they don't walk right through the penguin's habitat where there are nests and where there are eggs that the penguins are trying to protect. So that's one example of limiting the impact. There are many other examples that we don't have time to get into today. In some forests, they're using these skywalks where you actually are having bridges across the tree so that the tourist is not trampling on the ground. Right, let's look then at the social and the at the local community aspect. How do we look after people? And in this way, we can practice sustainability. Participation and community involvement are very important. Whatever your business, whether it's small, medium, or large, how can you bring in the community to be part of that, to add a local flavor, but also to benefit them and to give them an opportunity? So why do we need to focus on the local community? Because it's very important from an ethical and respect point of view. If your tourism business is working with the local community, it needs to focus on what works for them and on what they want to present to the tourists, not on what we think is what they should do. It must be done in a process of deep consultation. It also, why is it good for them? Because it increases their quality of life and income if they are involved in tourism projects. And so many times we've seen how it has promoted pride in their culture, that local people suddenly become proud of what they have because they see, well, tourists are interested. Wow, let me rekindle my interest in my own culture. What people need to look at if your business is a local community business, think about what do you have that tourists would be interested in and that you are willing to share with tourists. For example, homestays, traditional meals, music, dance, arts, crafts, political landmarks, taking tourists through your creches, through your schools. How can you help the tourists to interact with the community? Because this is something that today's new tourist wants. They don't just want to sit on a beach getting a tan. They want to interact. They want to learn. They want to take part. So think about that. How can you really grow that in your business? Small scale. It's so important. And assuming that a lot of you who are tuned in today are running small scale businesses. And here you have that when you are small, you can really do the interaction with the community and the involvement. You can do it well. When it becomes a large business, it becomes harder to manage. It's doable. We have businesses, for example, like the Speed Wine Farm in the Cape. Go and look at their website. It's SPIER. They are a huge organization doing incredible things in all elements of sustainability, the community, the economy, and the environment. So it is possible large scale. But I think today our focus is really tapping into those small scale businesses. And for you, it is, you can really have genuine, authentic interactions with the community, and you can have tourists having genuine interactions with the community. Outsource to local people. For example, if you need sewing done, don't go and send it to a big company in Johannesburg. Let local ladies do it, and tell the tourist these sheets, these placemats were made by the local community. The fresh food from the community. Can the community help with transport? And then, of course, so important, respecting local people in how their culture is shared and what is shared. Some things should not be shared. Some things communities do not want to share, and we need to respect that. I just want to go back here to interaction. There's a big drive at the moment. It's called voluntourism, and you can even get tourists coming in and helping you clear invasive species. So get your tourists to interact. Maybe tourists want to come and help and assist to paint a classroom, for example, or to sponsor a particular event like a green club at a school. So tourists are wanting to hear about where they can get involved. And later on in today's program, there is a presentation on township tourism. There's going to be a lot more there. So please do hold on for that. You'll hear more about that later. Okay, so let's move then on to the economy. So these are practices that support long-term economic growth without negatively impacting social, environmental, and cultural aspects. So that is the sustainable definition of the economy. So we need to ask the question here, is it going to be enough income? Tourism cannot solve all income issues. We need to manage expectations here. Too often, if we're working with local communities, people are promised the world and then very little income actually filters through. So be careful of expectations. Obviously, people can benefit through employment, through small, medium and micro enterprises, through being entrepreneurs in the tourism sector. And I want to really just talk about this last term here, leakage. And this is where large organizations can have a real problem, that the money is spent by tourists, but the local community sees very little of that money as it is filtered, as it leaks through to larger organizations and often out of the country. And that, of course, we want to avoid. So see how much of that money can trickle down to the local level so that local people actually feel that there is a benefit to this. I want to move on now just to say, before I move on to the next slide, how do we get tourists into communities to spend there? And I want you to think about that question. How can you get your tourists into communities to spend their money there and not in Sandton and at Menlyn and at huge tourism enterprises, for example, well, maybe I shouldn't mention names, but where the money will leak out? How can you get them into your communities to spend there? How can you get them into the environment to encourage them to commit to environmental projects? Maybe they can adopt a tree, adopt an animal. Of course, they don't take that animal with them, but the idea is you adopt it, you pay a price, you pay a certain amount of money, the tourist gets information about what is happening with that money and how conservation is happening because of their contributions. There are many ideas and we can't go into all of them today, but how can you get tourists to invest in your communities and to invest in the environment around you, whether that is a natural or a built environment? Then let's go to the tourist. So when it comes to the tourist, we are now trying to bring all elements of sustainability together. And we're wanting the tourist to make a contribution environmentally, socially, and economically. And there are many ways to do this. Again, here I'm only going to be focusing on a few examples. Dual pricing. I mentioned that because that is pricing where local people, South Africans, for example, in the context of today, get a different price to overseas people. I support this concept because we need local people to be tourists. Once you are a tourist, you understand what is tourism, how did I feel, why is it important? So let us really encourage local people in South Africa at all in all different types of communities to be tourists where possible. For many of them, it's life-changing. I've seen in my own research when, for example, a group of school children are taken into a nature reserve and see an elephant and see a lion for the first time in their life, instead of it just being on TV. Seriously, it can be life-changing, and they go back and they tell their gogo, they tell their family, you will not believe it, but I saw an elephant. And it is, and I now understand why we need to look after this elephant. Environmental education and awareness are a big part of educating your tourists. And I'm going to give you just 2 examples of that today. First of all, we can give our tourist a code of conduct. The new sensitive tourist doesn't mind being told in a sensitive way how to behave, sensitively to the environment and to the community and the local customs. The other way, I'm jumping to the point there, is on interpretation. We can create environmental awareness by making a place understandable and meaningful to visitors. So this can be done through signage. You can see there's a gentleman there reading a board, or it can be done through the top picture there where they are smelling things and they are tasting things, and also the bottom one where a guide is explaining things to them. So interpretation is making the place come alive to tourists so that they understand, why should I care about the people here and the environment here? Jumping back up to multi-activity holidays. Tourists want to do many things today. They do not just want to sit around. So use multi-activities to get them into the environment and into the community. Get them to interact. How can we get them to interact with the environment? Some examples. If we're in the bush, sweep a riverbed dry. In the morning, you take them back and you read what happened. Which animals came past this place in the night? What happened? You can give them a booklet where they can note down what they are experiencing. Try and use all the senses. What do they see? What do they hear? What do they feel? What did they taste? Tasting and smelling herbal and medicinal plants, and there are so many more. How do you get tourists to interact with the locals? Remember, your life is their adventure. Local food, dances, crafts, local sports, and so many more. I want to end here with a video, which I want you to again go and do in your own time. So we started with a video on toxic tourism, how not to do it. And I'm ending with a video on how to do it. And this video actually comes from Central Asia. And I always believe we should look beyond our own borders to learn. So I'm sending you to Central Asia to look at an example of community-based tourism, how tourism supports local communities and nature. So please do that in your own time. And I'm ending with a challenge, which I'm sending across the country to all of you that are listening today. What can you do for sustainability in your community? Can you, for example, do park cleanups, river cleanups, beach cleanups? How can you teach children, who are the future, to be sustainable, and that those children can in turn teach others around them? Those are just 2 examples, but what can you do for sustainability in your community and in your business? And I hope you've got some good ideas from today, and I encourage you to go and research more. Thank you so much. It was really good being with you today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Curious. That was very informative. We always think sustainability is just about managing the environment, but it can go so much further, and we can do so much with the little that we have in our communities. Dr. Curious, we have a question from the chat box, and they're asking, tourism is vital to all countries, and when incidents happen out of our control, like strikes and natural disasters, what is the best way to make customers come down and come back when things in life get back to normal?
Thank you. Very good question. I just want to read it again. So tourism is vital to all countries, and when incidents happen, how do we recover from that? Sure, you know, it's such a difficult question, and I think that the important thing is to make sure that we do recover and as soon as possible, because the impact is there. And I think we've all experienced with COVID what a huge impact it had and how long the recovery took. And what I would say with now what we're experiencing across the country with the strikes and the mess and the litter dumping, I think it's to say, what can you do in your area? Let's be real. For example, if the strike is affecting where you are running your business, to perhaps organize a cleanup, and very importantly, not then just to go and dump the waste in another place, because that's one of the problems now is people are taking it into their own hands and they are going and illegally dumping their waste somewhere else. So just passing on the problem isn't a solution. So how can communities get together at this point and manage cleanups that are not going to cause knock-on problems, if you know what I mean? I think it's the time for community action. I see in our own community, the WhatsApp group, people are saying, what can we do? How can we sort this out? How can we clean up our own area? So I would say collective action is so important here. Mobilize your community to sort the problem out and take it into their own hands. And then, as you quite rightly alluded to in your question, we then need to build optimism again. And that can be difficult, but we need to say to people, we are now over this, and now we are going to move on, and we're going to carry on with the good work that we are doing, and we are going to encourage young people to be enthusiastic about what we can do. And I think, so let's say, what can I do? What is a practical physical action that I can do today to get past this terrible problem that we're facing right now in the country, and to fix it so that my business can carry on operating, and then to move forward and once again build optimism. And I think that as South Africans, we've become so good at that. We have these terrible setbacks, and then we have to all rise up again to the occasion and carry on building. So thank you for that question, and I encourage you to keep building wherever you are and do whatever you can. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to try and share Mrs. Poole's presentation again. If not, the floor will be open for Mrs. Nduna.
Today, I'm just going to be talking or taking you through and just specifically focusing on tourism post-COVID and the emerging trends. And most businesses had to ask themselves, what now? As I was saying, COVID put a pause on most of the industries, and the business landscape changed, and the tourism businesses also experienced that change. The national economy was affected, jobs were affected. And I mean, if we know one thing about tourism is that it's one of the industries that actually produce a lot of job opportunities. As a small business, you are faced with cash flow and keeping your staff. It seemed like it was really not a win-win situation. Either way, it seems that you put in a corner. What are the trends that have come up that you can now, as a business, use as an opportunity to actually improve on your offering? People want to connect. There's a wide variety of experiences, and I think from Dr. Curio's presentation, it was clear that people just want to go to places where they can just take a break and switch off. and engage sustainably. Our new tourists, they don't just want to go and leave their footprint, but they want to engage and enjoy responsibly. As a small business, what does this mean for you? It is very important that you understand your value. What is your value? There's always a story behind your business. What do you have now that you can offer an experience that will actually position you successfully in the market? Do you understand the space that you are playing in? And oftentimes we want to offer something that is just so much out of our reach. In your B&B, in your beadwork business, in your events company, what is your value? What is that one thing that if you were to close your eyes, you do it effortlessly without even any struggle? Those are the things that you need to just sit down and capitalize on and see how you can actually make them to actually come through your offering. Cash flow. Cash flow is very important. There are multiple tools for businesses that you can actually use to make sure that you control your cash flow. Market analysis. Do you understand the market or your tourist or the people that come to you? Engage with them. Have a conversation with them. Know who they are. And also, nowadays, with the business technologies, the technologies advances that we find ourselves in, conducting research, you can do it on your phone. Find out businesses that are similar to you. What are they doing? I like the example that Dr. Kuros actually left you with, for you to see what other people are doing in other countries. How do I now bring this to my reality? You need to make sure if someone was to ask you, so this product, who are you offering to? With this B&B that you find in Mamelodi, who do you want to get to Mamelodi? How are you going to get them there? Which channels are you going to use to get them into your business? One thing that it has become very prevalent in recently is that as an entrepreneur, it's very important that you empower yourself. And it's a continuous process. Because in doing so, when you empower yourself and you're improving self, you're also putting into your business. There's an organization called I'm an Entrepreneur. They actually had even a conference yesterday where it's small businesses that get together and they get to share ideas, and they also make various tools available to them. Post-COVID, even during COVID, I think we will all agree that it was prevalent that business was not just about me providing service. It had to do a lot with my mindset. The mindset to create and grow something. The mindset to not give up on this because I have a value. I have something to offer and I believe in it. Therefore, I will continue to pursue it. Where to from here? As I've already mentioned, it's very important that you know and understand your tourist. And in knowing that value, package it. It's not just another restaurant. What is one thing that you pride yourself in? I use sustainable material. I actually get my ingredients from gardens around my local community. I've actually had a chef who's, a child that has studied in the community and now she is here. Cultural experiences. What is normal to you, it's not normal to the next person. And that is why as human beings, we are so interested in each other's story. Storytelling has become one of the growing trends in product offering. There's a story behind your business. What is your story? How do you package it in such a way that you can actually make it an offering? Invest in friendly and a speed service. as much as you can be a small business, make sure that your systems are in place. When someone walks through the doors of your business, map it out. I want this person, when they walk through the doors of my restaurant, within a certain time, someone has greeted them. Within a certain time, someone has offered them a seat. Map out your processes. Most businesses fail because they don't have processes in place. When you grow your business with the processes that you've put in place, it's easy to grow. Wherever you are, you know that the process works out like this. Please, please do that. The process is not just only about stock taking and also about just, stock taking, but it's a lot more. Even the experience and service, what is the process that you are following with regards to your offering? What is the process that you are following with regards to preparing a meal? What is the time that you and your team have agreed on to say, in my business, a client will not sit for so long before they are served. In my business, when a client walks in, you smile and I will, put them in and check them in. Those things matter. And it might seem like it's a small things, but they usually say it's not so much about what you've done, but how you made one feel, how you made your clients feel. And it's an advantage for a small business because you deal with a lot less number of clients. So you are able to actually position yourself and bring that competitive advantage in your business. Map it out. Close your eyes and map it out. Turn it into a manual so that even the people that knows when they come to work for you, they know exactly what are your expectations. Because oftentimes you understand your value, but how do you translate that to those who work for you? How do you translate that to every team member, understanding that this is where we're going and we can all go together if we stick to this? Collaboration. I like Mzansi Tours and how they have actually, you can just Google them, how they collaborate and use local businesses to offer an experience. You find different services that they will map out for you or even take you there. Marketing is very important. I think with the launch of social media, it has changed the landscape of business. You have to market. You have to put yourself out there and you have to put your story out there. Oftentimes we think that maybe perhaps my story is not good enough. It is good enough. Just sit and plan and be authentic as you can and put it out there. Skill development, I've touched on it. Read. Engage with other businesses. It's not a competition, especially within a community. You are there together. You can even end up mapping out a route where you have a restaurant, a B&B, a whole lot of things. Network. Because in networking, when you engage with other people, that's when you get ideas. You can achieve so much when you work together. Entrepreneurship is a very lonely road. It can be very lonely if you choose for it to be lonely. But if people meet in one room and they share a vision of making it work, it can work. Network. Take advantage of those free business tools.
Morning, everyone. I'm Carmen, and this is Nandifa. Hello. We are lecturers in the Department of Applied Management. We work in the tourism section at UNISA, and we will be doing a presentation on hospitality operations today. Nandifa will be covering food and beverage management with you a little bit later, and I will start with accommodation and housekeeping management. Thank you. Okay, under accommodation management, we will discuss the front office. We will discuss pre-arrivals, which include basic reservation activities, arrivals, where guests check in and the related issues related to that, occupancy, which include the accounting process and the departure, which includes checkouts and settlement of guest accounts. This is a basic chart of a front office organization for a bigger accommodation establishment. You will see there's a general manager, an assistant manager, a front office manager, a night auditor, and then underneath these, there's a front desk agent, a reservations agent, a switchboard operator, front office cashier, uniformed services, and concierge. In a smaller establishment, you might find that there's one general manager, as well as another assistant manager, and these might perform all of the said duties at the bottom. Functions of the front office include selling rooms, maintaining and balancing guest accounts, and offering services such as taking messages and providing information on local restaurants, attractions, transport services, and shopping. Factors that influences the composition of the front office will be the size of the establishment. As you saw in the previous slide, a bigger establishment will have a bigger front office, whereas a smaller establishment will have maybe just 1 or 2 front office staff. Also, the front office is influenced by the standard of service that a guest can expect. A 2 or 3 star establishment will have a different front office than a 4 or 5 star establishment. And it is also affected by the type of guest. Okay. Then the cycle of the front office includes pre-arrival, which is taking reservations either from websites, calls, or walk-ins, arrivals, occupancy, departure, and checkout. And we will discuss each of these in a little bit more detail now. Okay, the pre-arrival stage include basic reservation activities. There are 2 types of reservations. You can have a guaranteed reservation or a non-guaranteed reservation. A guaranteed reservation will be when you have either paid a deposit or you've paid the accommodation in full. It means your room is guaranteed and nothing can take that away. Then you have non-guaranteed reservations. That is where you don't pay a deposit and most likely you don't give your credit card details either. This means if a guest walks in and he has money in his pocket and he's ready to pay for a room, if you aren't there yet and you haven't checked in, then there's no guarantee that you will actually have a room. Then sometimes overbooking does happen. This is because you often get cancellations. If it happens that a hotel is overbooked and all the guests do show up, the accommodation establishments often have understandings with other accommodation establishments in the area where they will put you up and they will pay the difference. Then you also need to set up reservation reports so that you know exactly how many check-ins you will be expecting on any given time or day. Okay, then upon arrival, the main duties of the reception department includes welcoming and checking in your arrivals, selling hotel facilities such as spas and any bars or restaurants you might have on site. You also need to maintain a record of the resident guests, which is very important in emergency situations so that you can report and check off how many guests are in the hotel at any given time. You also need to provide guest information to other departments. For instance, housekeeping, you need to tell them that guests are expected in any given rooms and they need to get those rooms ready for check-in. Then you also need to issue the room key and escort the guest to the room. Okay, the process for checking in involves preparing for guest arrival, assigning the room and confirming the room rate. You need to register the guest, you need to check the method of payment, and you need to issue the room key and escort the guest. Okay, during occupancy, you need to do proper accounting. These include maintaining accurate and up-to-date records of all guest transactions. This means if the guest has a drink at the bar, you need to have it on the tab. You need to provide effective internal control by monitoring credit given to guests and prevent fraudulent staff practices. Some hotels might require you to put down, let's say, a 500 Rand deposit when checking in. This is just as a safeguard for using the facilities on credit, for ordering a drink at the bar and not paying for it immediately. It's just to safeguard against you not paying the bill and skipping out. And also to prevent fraudulent staff practices, you are required to provide your room number, your surname, and also to sign all slips that you put on your account. Okay, so you need to also give management information on departmental revenue. Okay, upon departure, the checkout process involves inquiring about the quality of products and services. Was the guest happy? Is there anything that you can improve on? Okay, the guest needs to return the room key. You need to retrieve the guest folio and account, print it, and give it to the guest to review the charges. You need to make adjustments where necessary and determine the method of payment so the guest can make payment. Then you will inquire about additional reservations, if any. You will check the guest folio and you'll get the related documents ready for the night audit. And you will communicate with housekeeping that the room is vacant and ready to be cleaned for the next guest. Then we move on to housekeeping management. We will discuss the role of housekeeping, what it takes to be a housekeeper, housekeeping and front office, planning procedures in the housekeeping department, and housekeeping and human resources. Okay, the role of housekeeping. Okay, there are various reasons to keep a guest room clean, despite the obvious. There's hygiene. Nobody likes to go into a dirty room. Health and safety, which is especially important in today with COVID. You need to sanitize the rooms. Maintenance, a dirty room will require more maintenance in the long run. For instance, if the carpets aren't cleaned properly, regularly, you will need to replace them sooner than might be necessary if you looked after them nicely. Okay, and also very important, aesthetics and marketing value. Okay, an executive housekeeper can be found in bigger establishments, but smaller establishments might have a main housekeeper, and they might just oversee the 2 or 3 housekeepers underneath them, whereas an executive housekeeper will oversee many, many more staff members. Okay, an executive housekeeper is involved in planning, which includes forecasting, setting objectives, developing strategies and budgeting, organizing, which includes the structure of the department, position descriptions, and determining the qualifications needed for any given position. They will be involved in recruiting, training, and development of staff, directing, which is delegating duties, managing and motivating their staff members, and also controlling, which includes reporting, taking corrective action, and rewarding where rewards are necessary. Okay, a housekeeper relies very heavily on occupancy report, which reports which rooms are being checked in, which rooms are currently occupied, and which rooms are being checked out, because all these rooms need to be cleaned in a different way. A room status report will indicate whether a room is occupied, complimentary, stay over, on change, departure rooms, do not disturb, blocked rooms, vacant or clean, vacant and dirty, sleep out, skipper, sleeper, vacant and ready, out of order, out of service, check out, late check out, did not check out, or early arrival. Okay, the planning procedures in the housekeeping department involves planning documents, which is area inventory lists. It is very important to have an area inventory list because guests do take stuff, they break stuff. So these lists need to be checked regularly to determine if everything is still there. You need to have frequency schedules because not all areas will be cleaned every single day. A lounge might be cleaned every second day, or it might be cleaned just on the top, the floor swept and washed every day and then dusted weekly or every second day. Rooms will be cleaned every day, but they might be scheduled for a deep cleaning, say once a month. And this will all be indicated on the frequency schedule. You also need to set performance standard. What needs to be cleaned and how it needs to be cleaned, and when is something considered clean. Productivity standards, quantity versus time. Some housekeepers might take 2 hours to clean a room. Another one might take 30 minutes to clean a room. It is highly likely that the one who takes 30 minutes to clean a room does not clean it thoroughly enough, and the one who takes 2 hours is spending unnecessary time cleaning. So it might be that the midway is an hour per room, and housekeeping needs to adhere to this. Also because otherwise it inconveniences a guest. Okay, a housekeeper will also be involved in the operating budget, where you estimate expenses. You budget for cleaning products, you budget for cleaning equipment, you budget for staff salaries. You will also be involved in controlling the equipment and supply inventory levels. The executive housekeeper or main housekeeper will, on a daily basis, give out the cleaning supplies, and these supplies will be monitored in terms of how much is being used on a daily basis. Okay, then the housekeeper will be responsible for creating job lists, description and breakdown of duties depending on the establishment size. So you'll also need to train and motivate staff, and scheduling of the housekeeping personnel. Not all staff work on weekends, so you need to work out a schedule where one weekend a staff member will be on, next weekend they will be off, etc. Okay, now please enjoy this little video that is just about the latest technology in housekeeping management.
Can you please make the screen bigger?
In a hotel, it's no longer just about providing guests with a good bed and a warm shower. It's about well-being. It's about the complete experience in which all senses are stimulated. The guests want to feel the texture of the walls and the fabric of the bed sheets. They want to hear music, be surprised by unique scents, taste exciting new flavors, and be surrounded by splendor. In uncertain times like these, hotels become a safe haven for guests to retreat to. Places where people can escape reality for a day or two, where they can be surprised by creativity